Today we're sitting down with Kaylin Kirkland, Sales Director at the Barrel Mill, a family-owned cooperage in Avon, Minnesota, known around the world for crafting high-quality oak barrels used by distilleries, breweries, and winemakers. The Barrel Mill's story goes way beyond barrels, though. This is a company built on craftsmanship, innovation, and a whole lot of Midwest grit, stemming from a legacy that's been aging beautifully for generations. In 2023, Moxie joined forces with the Barrel Mill to refresh its brand and overhaul its website. Since then, we've helped rebuild their entire brand presence, from packaging to social media and every little thing in between. We're talking with Kaylin about what that process was like, how the rebrand helped modernize a heritage brand, and how the Barrel Mill continues to grow its reputation both locally and globally. Welcome to Behind the Brand, the podcast for small business owners, solopreneurs, and aspiring entrepreneurs who are ready to start strong, stand out, and stay bold. I'm Taylor.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Isabella, and we're part of the powerhouse team of marketers at Moxie Creative.
We're taking you behind the scenes to explore what it takes to build and grow a memorable brand.
Ready to get behind the brand? Let's dive in. Hello, Moxieverse. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Brand. Taylor here, and today I am once again joined by the fabulous Isabella.
Hello.
And we are chit-chatting with our client, Kaylin Kirkland from the Barrel Mill.
Hi there.
Well, Kaylin, thank you so much for joining us. It feels like a kind of a long time coming to have you as a guest on the podcast. We've been talking about it probably since day one that you were on our get list, and I'm glad that it finally worked out. What is your official title at the Barrel Mill?
So I run the sales and marketing teams at the Barrel Mill.
Okay, wonderful. And you've been there for 3 years?
Almost 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. I will never forget the first time I met you. We were sitting at the table up front, and it was like 6 hours in,
Yeah.
I don't know, to your first date.
Yeah.
And Jordan and Sony brought you in. They're like, here, this is who we're working with. We're going to rebrand the company that you just started with. And you were like,
Here we go. Let's do it.
Okay, let's go. And we did just that. We helped you guys with a brand refresh, more or less, right? Rebrand, just really spruced up the old branding that you guys had. Then we started with the website. Now we have an e-commerce website.
Yeah.
We help you with your email marketing, your social. So we're really helping you guys with a lot of things. And it has been so fun to get to work with you and learn about your industry. I went home because we were just with you yesterday shooting some content and talking about all the possibilities, and I went home and was talking to Tyler about them last night. I was like, all these cool things that they have going on, and he's just looking at me like, okay,
Cool.
okay. No, he does get excited about you as a client because he likes bourbon, so he's like,
Yes.
That's pretty cool. But anyways, let's start. Tell us about yourself, your background, and then we can get into the Barrel Mill background.
Sure, yeah. So I actually grew up, I'm a proud Kentuckian. Was born in western Kentucky and then grew up across the river in southern Illinois. Transplanted to Minnesota after college and worked for a large Fortune 500 company. Went through their sales management trainee program, worked my way up. After that, decided that I wanted to continue that path and stayed in the same industry, but a smaller company, and really realized that that was the way to go for me. The opportunity arose that I was able to make the transition over to the Barrel Mill. Almost a full circle moment for me. My dad growing up was actually a forester, worked at a sawmill, so not necessarily any direct experience in that, but he had the passion for trees and wood. I'm first and foremost a bourbon enthusiast.
Yeah.
And so, it just felt like home. And 3 years later, it's working out well.
Yeah, for sure. That makes total sense. My first in my internship in college and my second job, I worked in construction adjacent industries, and that maybe feels like I'm like not a construction person, but my whole family kind of grew up doing those blue collar type jobs. And so it felt like a natural fit, or like I just understood that clientele, right? And now here I'm always like, can we get construction clients? Like I would love to work with construction clients, so any construction companies. But I love that. So when you started with the Barrel Mill, did you have any history maybe with your dad and you being a bourbon connoisseur, but did you have any experience in this type of industry or working with bourbon industries?
No direct experience.
Yeah.
I will say through MBA classes at University of Kentucky, it seems like that grad school is either bourbon or horse racing.
Okay.
And so through some of the classes there, I got to meet some people within the industry.
Yeah.
But never really did
Yeah.
anything with those connections until now.
I imagine when Jordan was talking to you, he's like, "This guy's got a Kentucky
Right,
accent.
yeah, exactly.
He'll
He's
be able to
perfect.
slang the deals." I was
Yeah.
actually thinking about that when we were with you yesterday. Like, I wonder if that helps when he's like calling
Yeah.
people.
This guy knows what he's
Essentially.
talking about. Or at least you can pretend to know, and it's like
Yeah.
the accent. Everyone's gonna
It's good.
believe
Yeah,
you.
everyone believes you.
Yeah.
So, what is the Barrel Mill?
So the Barrel Mill is a family-owned cooperage in beautiful Avon.
What is a cooperage?
A cooperage is where we make barrels. The Barrel Mill makes whiskey barrels, wine barrels. We also have a product called the Infusion Spiral, which we use different species of wood for that. And then we make display products as well. For most of the time, it's for distilleries marketing their products to the end user in liquor stores. But really, the sky's the limit when it comes to
Yeah,
the display
grocery
side.
stores. I mean,
Right.
yeah, anything. You will do some, even your barrel heads and stuff that you'll do. Anybody, any consumer can just order a really
Yeah.
cool barrel head with their design and stuff. As you guys will do all of that laser engraving. Yeah. So you make the barrels. You make the barrels, and who do you sell the barrels to?
Well, the barrels we were making yesterday, as you saw,
Yeah.
is one of the big legacy distilleries in Kentucky. So we've worked with the biggest of the big, and we work with the smallest of the small as well. Most of the distilleries here in Minnesota use our products. Really, they go all over the world.
Yeah, and everything is handmade in Avon, right? You have a
100%.
sawmill in northern Minnesota, yes?
Yeah, about an hour north in a small town called Eagle Bend.
Yeah, and all that product comes down here, and you guys make it all.
We do.
And you told me yesterday that it takes, from start to finish for a full barrel, it takes 45 minutes about.
Yeah, give
to
or
finish
take.
one. That's a
Yeah.
long time. Like
Yeah.
that is craft, right?
Yeah.
We're not just spitting these out on a machine. I mean, it's a
It's
sight
a whole
to,
process.
a
It's
sight to
crazy.
see,
Everyone
yeah.
knows their job. And I guess this is my first experience of like going somewhere where it's like kind of almost, I don't want to say a factory because
Yeah.
it's not, but like everyone has their own job and it's just a routine thing. And it's not as much machines doing things. Yeah.
There's fire.
And
Yes.
that team that we have back there
Yeah.
making the barrels at the moment, I think all of them have been with us over 10 years. So
Yeah.
very skilled,
You can tell.
very experienced. They've
Yeah.
all kind of worked different parts of the line where they know each other's job. They work well together.
Yeah.
Just a great production team
Right.
we
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
You can tell that they care too. Like I've watched them, like they'll take a plank of wood and they're like looking at the whole plank before they ever like choose it.
I know,
And I'll
that's-
watch them throw it up. And I'm like,
That's what
wow,
I was
that's
really,
crazy.
watching that gentleman pick the staves that he was putting into the frame. Yeah, like I was like, it's like Tetris. Like he's
Raising the
got-
barrel is what we call that.
Okay, yeah, and it has to get put in there perfectly, and like that. Yeah, that's just, it's a skill, right? Everything is handcrafted, and we say that a lot, and it's true. I mean, this is not just coming off a production line. There's real people behind the scenes building that, which I think is just awesome. So what were some of your, when you first started there, what were some of the challenges? Because, obviously our team is more involved in the strategy, the marketing strategy and stuff now than we were in the beginning, right? Like we just came in and it was solely like, we're going to help with rebrand, we're going to build a website. I don't know if either party saw like this would be the trajectory of our partnership together. I'm so happy that it is, but I don't know if that was like the initial plan. And in that time, I really do feel like you have done an awesome job like shaping your sales team and making the product sell the way that you want it to sell and all of that. So what do you feel like were maybe some of your initial challenges when you started working with the team?
Gosh, I would say really trying to step out of that family-owned business, and we are still family-owned, on you, but really trying to spread our wings, think bigger than what we were currently doing. On top of that, really how to market that and sell our story as the Barrel Mill. So it started with everything from that rebrand to the new website to the e-commerce now, and then some exciting things in the future too. But yeah, I would say really creating processes for the sales team as well.
Yeah, because you have people all over the
We
country,
do.
right? It's not
Yeah.
just based, you might be based in Minnesota, but you have a team that's scattered around a little bit.
We've got representation in North Carolina, in Lexington, Kentucky, as well as Napa. So
Yeah.
a team scattered and trying to keep everybody on the same page.
Yeah. What are some things you do to help or encourage your team when they're like trying to tap into new markets?
Really just being a resource for them. In a previous life, I had to build a book of business from scratch, different industry, but still a lot of the fundamentals
Yeah.
and the processes are all the same.
Yeah.
So I've did that and really trying to, teach and enable and encourage. We hold weekly team meetings on Thursdays where we're just getting updates from each other, bouncing ideas, and then we do regular one-on-ones as well, typically every other week with all the teammates. But really just creating those processes that would allow us to continue to win and become more efficient.
Yeah. And one other thing that I think you do a really good job at, just from our conversations, is like you really encourage them to try new things. For example, like last weekend, you noticed on the website that someone kind of random had bought a bunch of spirals, and you were like, "Hey, what was this about?" And he was throwing like a class, and you were like, "Well, I'm gonna go check that out."
Yeah.
So, what was that experience like?
Yeah, a small whiskey club pretty close to us. They had recently bought a handful of bottle spirals off the website, and I reached out to them, and they throw a Sunday sipper where they had about 25 people gathered in a bar. Very nice plated dinner.
This is in like rural Minnesota.
Yeah.
guys.
And
Like,
so
so
cool.
Yeah,
though.
tiny,
Yeah.
probably 300 people in the town.
Yeah.
But a very nice plated dinner was not cheap. And I had the opportunity to talk about spiral finishing and blending whiskey, and had a blast on a Sunday.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so fun. And spirals, that's that is your proprietary product for the barrel mill. Yep. And Bella, I know you've kind of become like a
I've been trying to learn everything about spirals.
like a spiral expert. You have made your own spiral cocktail.
I have, and it was fantastic. It was amazing. I've tried, I've had so many of my friends try it too, just because I had it in, kind of like a normal tequila. Like
Sure.
it was a $30 tequila, maybe not even.
Yeah.
And so I would have people be like, okay, so here's because I bought 2 bottles. Like, here's the regular one, and here's the one that I had used there's a variety pack, and one of them is I'm probably going to say it wrong. I feel like I always say this stuff wrong. Amberana.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yay, Amy. Amberana Spiral. I put it in that tequila for 2 weeks, and people were blown away by the difference, because it was like you could actually like sip on this tequila, and like I'm 22, so I don't have a lot of people that are like enjoying like all of our more of our taste buds are still there, so we're not enjoying sipping liquor yet. The flavor added, and then the wood like extracts like some of the like harshness of it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I don't know all the fancy terms, but I see why people love it.
You were nailing it right there. Good work.
Awesome. Great.
Kaylin's fired. Isabella's taking
Yeah,
over.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm now the new sales.
No, who's your spiral guy? Desi? Yeah, okay. Desi's fired. Just kidding. We could never let go of Desi. I like him. He's so funny. I think he called me one time, and I was like in the middle of something, and he's just talking like in like a half hour. I'm like, Desi, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
That's a good sales guy right there. You
right?
can talk
yeah,
your ear off.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But to that point, I think that's one of the cool things. Like, yes, you work with, like you were saying when we were there yesterday, the barrels that were on the production line, they were for a huge distillery in the United States. But you also sell direct to consumer, and your spirals is really, kind of the start of that product. So how did the spirals come about? That was before your time, but like, what's the story of the spirals?
Yeah, so the technology was developed by the barrel mill, and I really don't know the process of getting the patent behind it.
Sure.
But the thought process on it was exposing as many of the different cuts in the grains to the liquid as you could. So within the spiral, you've got in grain, you've got cross grain, and surface areas. So you are exposing whatever liquid you put on it to a variety of different complexities and a rapid aging technique. So
Yeah, and there's a ton of different SKUs for it, a bunch of
There
different
is.
species.
yeah,
And then some of those species have a bunch of different toast levels.
and we're adding species
Yes.
all the time.
Yes, yeah.
So-
Yeah, you're just tapping into Mizunara, which
Yeah.
is really cool. For people who don't know what that is, it's a oak from Japan.
200-year-old
Yeah.
oak from Japan, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And it's highly sought after.
Very.
Yeah, in the
Rare,
bourbon world. But spirals, I think the cool thing about them is it's not just for bourbon people.
Correct. Yeah.
It can go to brewers, wineries, home brewers,
users.
home users, comes in multiple different sizes. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is what is really cool, and I see so many opportunities there. And I think it's really cool to see a family-owned company that has this strong heritage looking at other areas. It could have just been like, well, we'll stay in our lane. Like, we're a family-owned cooperage, and we've been doing that, and we're good at that. People know us for that. We could just stay there and whatever. But that's not what happened, because Spirals kind of came about because the barrel industry was starting to decline just a little bit, or production was slower, or what was something to that nature.
So at that time, I know that the bourbon industry was kind of in a lull at the moment. Oak alternatives were starting to take off with chips, with staves, cubes, other varieties of oak alternatives. But the thought process, as I explained with the Spiral, was just trying to create something different, something unique. And it's evolved into all these different species now. And from there, it's grown too. So project I was working on last night and this morning was for another large distillery customer that does a lot of contracting. They want to mimic a used Irish whiskey barrel.
Okay.
So I brought in a bunch of Irish whiskey, and we're soaking these spirals before we send them out, and it will create that Irish cask finish.
Sure.
Yeah.
But in a fraction of the time and fraction of the cost.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think that stuff is so cool. Like, I had gotten a rose. I'm going back to tequila. Can you tell that tequila is my favorite alcohol? I'd gotten a rose gold tequila, and my dad was looking at it, and he was like, "Did you know that rose gold tequila is made from old barrels that had red wine in them, and then they had the tequilas put in them. That's what gives them like the rose gold color." And so then I started working with the barrel mill, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, they have soaked infusion spirals. You can soak that in the red wine, and then it can be soaked in tequila, and then you could have rose gold tequila right at home, like a fraction of the price and a fraction of the time, and no barrel. This is crazy. The opportunities are endless."
Try next, then,
yeah.
Bella.
Okay, let's do it. Let's make a rose gold tequila.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Wonderful. Well, 2025 was a big year for the barrel mill. We took your products online. Prior to that, you did not have anything online, and it's been going great. Seeing an uptick in sales and new customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are discovering you, which is really fun. What do you see on the horizon? What does 2026 and beyond look like?
I think really just expanding on that. So more offerings, tapping into potentially new markets. Right now, within the spirits industry, things are a little bit on the decline at the moment. I think craft spirits was down around 2.5% year over year. And so just getting creative and finding new avenues that we can tap into to keep our people busy and create great products. So I see, we're going to continue to grow species. We're going to continue to grow markets and probably lean into more of that retail side for the home user and potentially even decor and building some cool, unique, one-of-a-kind things that we can market online.
Yeah.
Right. Even with that got me thinking about the NA industry. And when we were at Craft Brewers Convention, we met these guys that were making this tea, and one of them had hops in it, and then another one they had was supposed to be a replica of something barrel aged. And I asked them, like, what are you using to barrel age this drink? And they said, we don't barrel age it. We just use ingredients that kind of replicate the flavor. And I was like, well, have you heard of the barrel mill? And the guy was like shocked by it. Like, he's like, oh, you can just get this and do that instead. So I feel like there really is, like, as the NA beverage industry is like really rising, like getting that awareness out there with like using barrels or infusion spirals to replicate kind of some of that in those NA drinks, which would be really cool. But that's a whole other avenue.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, lots and lots and lots of opportunities. So, okay, before we end, I am going to just ask you a few rapid fire questions.
Sure.
So, question number 1, what is maybe one lesson you've learned from working in such a heritage-driven industry?
I mean, you really have to bring it up multiple times in order for people to try it. So they're not so much the new age distiller, but the distiller that's been doing it for years upon years. They're hesitant to try some new things, whereas the new age distiller will look for unique avenues to create something new and wonderful and beautiful, and they're open to those new efficiencies.
Awesome. And then the second question is maybe, I think kind of the overarching thing here is like the barrel mill itself and you as a leader, like you're not afraid to try new things. And I think as a family owned business, that can be really hard to take that leap. And as a business that is in an industry that is just like has to be so specific, what are maybe some things, like a piece of advice that you would give to a company that would push them to try something new with their business strategy, with their goals, marketing, all of that?
You never know what's possible. The numbers that we did on our e-commerce site last month, if you would have told me that a year ago, wouldn't have seen that coming for sure.
Yeah.
So I think really just stepping out of your comfort zone and trying new things that's how I live my personal life.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I do it in the business world too?
Yeah.
You can always take a step back and tell yourself, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
At the
You at
same
least
time,
tried.
you'll learn something.
Yeah, right.
exactly.
So I think just stepping out of your comfort zone and trying that unique new thing that you never know what can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Kaylin, for joining us. It's always a pleasure getting to chat with you and, of course, to learn a little bit more for ourselves, because now we can take this knowledge back as we're pumping out marketing for the barrel mill. Wonderful. Well, if anybody has any questions or wants to learn more about the barrel mill, between the two of you, where can they go?
The barrel mill.
Just the barrel mill,
yeah.
on Facebook, Instagram,
Facebook and Instagram
LinkedIn,
and LinkedIn, yeah.
and then your website.
Yeah.
thebarrelmill.com. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week on the next episode of Behind the Brand.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Behind the Brand. If you like this episode, share it with a friend. If you didn't, share it with an enemy. To keep up with us, follow along on our socials. Links are in the show notes below.